This is NATV Network. Thank you so much for joining us here. We appreciate you being a part of our NATV community.
Unbound means, for me, unleashing from the trauma, all of the effects of trauma, from domestic violence, psychological, emotional. I came to I was in a particular community, in a group, and training with a mentor, a tutor, so to speak. And he loves to give a name that signifies to him and that names me to him personally. And, I was one of his students. And he decided that because of all the unraveling that I had done, all the unlearning, the unhooking, the unleashing, and the unbinding. And as I got to, as I started writing more of my journal and my memoirs, the name kept sticking with me. Am unbound. And now I claim that. I claim that 100%. I mean, so much that I've almost taken it on as my last name. Yourself? Yeah, because it describes me. It describes my life. It describes this process, this journey of, well, unbinding. Unbinding from all of the false beliefs, the twisted, distorted thinking that I was walking around with, carrying, afraid of people, afraid of myself, afraid of my shadow, afraid to breathe, move, live, anything. And the more I walked my path into trauma recovery, the more the word felt right. And it fits who I am. I am unbound now from everything that was holding me back from doing what I'm doing right now. The first one that comes to mind is the very first lesson I learned, and that was to become aware. And how do you become aware? You start asking yourself questions. First you're going to need some support, but becoming aware of what you're thinking, aware of your movements, aware of your body. It's almost like if you had a mag light, it's like taking a mag light, and it's got those two settings on it. You have spotlight, you have floodlight. Got it. So you want to take that spotlight and place it solely on yourself. And you scrutinize, even how you draw on a breath, and you start paying so much attention to everything about your being and about your presence that once you begin to reconnect your mind and body in that way through that awareness and start to feel again, then you can start expanding that light out to be more of a floodlight, so that then you can start drawing in everything that's in your environment about your awareness. But it has to start with awareness, at least for me and in my experience. And it's been very effective. It's what I've done with some of the people that I've coached, is we start with their awareness. And once you have that awareness, you start to develop a trust in yourself. That's the second most important part. It comes in, is your trust. You can't trust others until you trust yourself. And it's going to be very difficult to love yourself, to appreciate and be kind to yourself if you're not trusting your beliefs. So through your awareness, you're actually beginning to develop a belief that, all right, yep, this is how I breathe, this is how I move, this is how I walk, this is how I feel. It may not be an accurate feeling, it may not be a true feeling, but it's my feeling nonetheless. And you start to own all of that. And the more you begin to realize that you can own all of these things, that nobody has control over anything that you are doing in that moment, then you start to understand that you can trust yourself. You can start to believe in yourself. So you go through awareness and you have that understanding, you're developing your trust, and then you use your discernment. So with awareness, understanding, and discernment. Your discernment is when you start to really pull apart and ask all those questions. Is what I just heard true? Is what my abuser told me true? Is this belief that I can't go outside? Is this belief that I can't write a book true? Those are the things that I learned, because I used to tell myself I did not ever believe that I could even publish a book, let alone write one. I didn't think I'd ever be able to walk out my front door and get into a car and drive myself again. But I did it because I believed. I stopped believing the lies that I was telling myself that had been, conditioned and pounded into me. Through discernment, questioning, asking questions, taking things apart, thinking things through to the end, and never settling for just the first answer you come to.
Not feel crappy about the situation. And that's when I realized, hang on a second, everything here is conditional. Everything that I do, everything that I say, nothing is ever going to be good enough. So I got really, really angry. I got really, really sad. And I got to the point of almost believing that life wasn't worth living anymore.
Sure.
And I was like, why am I allowing this person to make me feel this way after so long of being in these little communities and talking to people, sharing my experiences, and people were relating to them and saying that I have experienced the exact same thing. And I was like, this isn't strange then. This isn't me. This isn't just an isolated experience. This is something that people experience day by day. And it was a build-up of many things. So I decided, enough is enough. I'm going to go and share my experiences so other people feel less alone. And as soon as I opened up the space for that community, I was amazed at the amount of people who thanked me for coming out and speaking truth and saying things that people did not dare to say, telling stories that people did not dare tell. And I was kind of ashamed at first. I was like, should I be saying this? Should I be telling these stories? But as soon as I had people say, thank you for telling that, because now I know I'm not alone, it made me realize that this is so, so important. Like, more people need to know that this is common. It's not normal, but it's something that a lot of people go through, and there is a possibility that you can get out of it and get help and not feel alone. So that was the start.
Wow.
Wow,
I
thank
think
you.
got an amen on that one, sister. Sister. Eve, anything you'd like to share before we get back to Real Deal and some of the points? That was a really great question, Crystal.
Yeah, it's a
So,
great
I can't say question, Crystal. I don't know. Question,
I'll try and do the
Crystal,
short and
Crystal.
the
I was gonna say, yeah. Eve was gonna go like, okay, how much time do we not have? How much time do we not have? Okay, so, before you start,
all day. I've got
yeah, I was gonna say, before you start, everybody, please don't think she's like thinking she's better than all of us. Eve is. She's tired. Okay,
Yeah,
she's
done a full day.
and it's like, yeah, she's got children. She's up late. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I am going to go shutty. Go right ahead.
Okay, so similar to Sarah in the sense that I found myself going back, and I was that statistic that went back 7 times, and I went through all the promises. I tried to change me. I put up with behaviors that were just absolutely unacceptable, and I just didn't understand why I kept being drawn back. In fact, one of the key changes for me is that I was going through this phase with this period of time in with this person, where I was always Googling, how can I make my relationship better? How can I fix this? Why is my partner doing that? You know, trying to get answers so I could adapt behaviors, I could be a better communicator, I could do all the things that he was demanding of me. And like you said, Sarah, it was never enough. It was never going to be enough. But at the time, I didn't know that. And then one day on the 7th try of leaving, and by this point I was pregnant, and quite a few things had shifted whilst being pregnant. I think it was, for me, it was, you know, God was giving me access to a lot more information at that point. And I didn't Google, what can I do to fix it? I Googled, why can't I leave? Like, why can't I get away from this person who I know is treating me so badly? And that is when I stumbled across the term trauma bond. And I was just like, that is exactly what I have. That is the problem. I have this trauma bond. And I absolutely like dove into all the information. And, you know, for me, it was a lot to do with the fact that I came from a secure family. You know, I was really fortunate in my childhood. My parents were great parents, and they're loving, and they gave me loads of love and support. And I had a good education behind me. I was successful in my work and in everything. I was confident in everything that I did, apart from this relationship, which absolutely was like, it was like I was a different person. And I really wanted to be able to say to people, like, you are not alone. It doesn't matter. It's not about, you know, your attachment style from a childhood or you know, or something that you've done. Like, there's no victim blaming here. This is this thing that happens to even the most healthy, the most self-aware people, that when somebody is manipulative and when you experience this kind of combination of behaviors, your body does things and your mind does things to protect you. And I want everyone to know that, no judgment. And I want professionals to know it, so that when police are kind of attending these situations, they're able to have a better understanding and less victim blaming and more kind of trauma informed support. And that's where it's come from, is this desire to get the information out there. And now I've got a campaign called Break the Bond, where we educate people about trauma bonding, you know, social workers and police and people that are part of support networks for victims, because for a lot of people, the trauma bond is the key to understanding that they are not alone and that they are not at fault to some, you know, because for a lot of the time there's so much self-blame happening. And that's, I just wanted to get it out there as much as I possibly can. So I've been talking about it ever since. I also kind of found a way to break it as well, which was once I knew what it was, then I started to work on breaking it. I couldn't find an awful lot of resource or a lot of instruction on how to break it, and so I started to kind of try everything, and in the end I developed a technique that really works. So I've been really kind of blessed in that, and been able to help others, which is so amazing.
Thank you. I'm so glad, because just even myself over the past couple of years and doing the Googling myself, I can tell you, it's people like you guys and everyone else spreading the good word is why we can help ourselves when we get online, if we don't know anyone else yet before we start opening up and talking about it. So I thank you both ladies for being on.
on your mind when it comes to, you hear people saying, hey, that triggers me, or whatever the case may be? I mean, you're a student of psychology. You're a learned person.
Well, for me, when you're triggered, I feel like it's an opportunity to grow. You know, it's definitely something that is not comfortable, but it's just a little, if you get curious about it, it is an opportunity to absolutely grow. Because it's your brain's way of telling you something is happening. That is essentially what's happening whenever you're triggered. Your inner whatever shows up and is like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
And then we judge ourselves for not doing better, right? So say someone triggers me and I lash out and I'm like, oh, how dare you? And da-da-da-da. And then fast forward, you know, a couple hours later, I'm like shaming myself. And it's this vicious cycle instead of going, okay, I love, and this is something I learned from a coach, that's probably not a real threat, but it's something that was at one point in your life a threat. Now it's coming to the surface to rewrite the story as you see fit. When we're triggered, our fight or flight system is telling us to react. And a lot of times when, you know, we're on this healing journey, and we're triggered and we haven't dealt with it as of yet, sometimes we impulsively react, you know, that's where you get the fight, flight, freeze, or, you know, run, essentially. And that can look like lashing out at somebody. It could look like someone saying something that triggers a part of you that's insecure. And it's bringing you back to a moment in time when your power was taken away. And, you know, they say your inner child shows up to take the driver's seat, which isn't always the best idea. I mean, would you have a 15-year-old managing your relationships is the question.